All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Higurashi. I know it's been a little while, but yeah, apparently, realized my stupid stamina. I swear, if I could live my whole life without having to sleep, that like not like not being able to sleep, because there are times when you want to sleep, but just not having to sleep. I would totally do that. Seriously. I just hate feeling tired. But I don't feel that way today. So, anyway, last time on Tokihogushi, Tomoe somehow concluded that this locked room suicide, where he jumped out of a window, was a murder. I don't know how that's gonna work. If it was someone hiding in the bathroom, I really don't know how that would work. Jeez. And she's seeking more information from the people who knew the guy, including the girl we met. So, without further ado, let's get back into it. The meeting spot was a fairly secluded coffee shop.
ここね。
And this is it, huh? When she opened the door, she heard the characteristic ringing of the bell in the coffee shop. She felt the strong scent of cigarette smoke the moment she entered, and couldn't help but grimace.
Oh, Tomoe-chan, こっちですよ.
Oh, Tomoe-chan, over here. Hello, Uishi. It's gotta always be Uishi. A hand like a log was conspicuously waving at her from a table a short distance away. Though acting aloof, his facial expression had a crafty sharpness to it. It was Detective Uishi from Okonomiya Station.
ご無沙汰してます、大石さん。
It's been a long time, Uishi-san. You forget because you see them together all the time in these console arcs, but I
わ
guess
ざわざすみません。
she's just meeting him for the first time in a while here. Thank you for making time for this.
いやいや、お久しぶりですね、Tomoe-chan.
Oh, it's no big deal. Long time no see, Tomoe-chan.
しばらく会わないうちに胸ちょっと大きくなったんじゃありませんか?
Oh, Uishi. It's been so long. Has her chest gotten a little bigger since we last met? That's a totally appropriate question to ask. Hello, T. Welcome to the stream.
会ったのはほんの数ヶ月前でしょ。
Oh, there we go. It's only been a few months. It's only been a few months since we last met, you know?
風船じゃあるまいし、そんなに短期間で変わったりしませんっての。
They're not like balloons. They don't change that quickly.
しかし今は便利な技術がありますからね。
Well, there are convenient solutions for that nowadays.
寄せてあげるなんとか、あるいは美容整形とか。
Push-up bras, cosmetic surgery.
そんなもんに金使うほど裕福じゃありません。
I'm not rich enough to throw money at something like that.
つうか、あんまり言うとセクハラで訴えますよ。
If you say another word, I'm gonna file a sexual harassment claim. Got it? Uishi's large belly shook as he let out a booming laugh. It seemed like he started talking like that more and more as Tomoe got older. At this point in time, the ratio of her respect and disdain for him were close to reaching the tipping point. It was reprehensible. Seriously.
まずは何か注文しちゃってください。
Well, first things first. Let's order something.
ここはパフェがなかなか行けましてね。
Parfait here is really good.
ああ、私はこれのおかわりで。
I'll have a second helping of this.
甘いものは今日はちょっと。
Actually, today sweets are a bit.
あ、ホットで。
Oh, hot items. For now, Tomoe submitted an order, then turned to have a look around. There were no customers in the shop. It was quiet enough that she could hear the baseball game on TV in the counter area, some distance away from their seat.
どうぞ。
Here you go.
どうも。
Thanks. The host brought over the coffee she ordered, then turned and headed back to the counter area. After confirming that, Tomoe leaned forward and spoke to Uishi in a hushed voice.
で、お電話で話した件ですが、
So, about what we discussed on the phone.
大石さんにちょっとご協力をお願いしたいんです。
I'd like to ask for a little help, Uishi-san.
私にできることでしたら何でも言ってくださいな。
If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know.
善と有望な警部さんに貸しを作っておくのは魅力的なお話ですからね。
After all, it makes for a great story, lending a hand to an up-and-coming police officer in her time of need.
ただ、私の協力料は少し高いですよ。
Oh, that's totally fine, Oe. No problem.
鹿島桜3本、
3 bottles of Kashima Sakura.
純米酒の特急で、当時の1号蔵のやつを送りますよ。
High grade pure rice wine. A gift from the chief brewer at the first storehouse.
Oh.
さすがともえちゃん、よくわかっていますね。
That's just wonderful, Tomoe-chan! You know me so well.
She was actually planning to give it to him anyway. So it was no additional expense. Although, Uishi probably understood that as well.
じゃあ伺いましょう。
All right, ask away.
その事件の話、聞かせてもらえますか。
What y'all want to discuss about this case?
はい。まずこれを。
Very well. First, take a look at this. Tomoe pulled out the files she had secretly borrowed from the Ibaraki Prefectural Police Department and laid them out on the table, explaining them to Uishi one by one. Uishi burned through 5 cigarettes while silently reading through everything and listening to her story, then finally spoke up.
それで、
So,
その男の子の彼女さんは何と言っていました？
what did the boy's girlfriend have to say?
もし自殺でないのなら、殺したのは竜宮玲奈じゃないかと。
Come on! Jesus Christ! She should have a rock solid alibi. She said if it wasn't suicide, then the killer must be Reina Ryugu.
彼女が呪い殺したか、それとも直接やってきて殺したか。
Did she curse him to death or did she kill him more directly?
まあ、両方とも可能性はゼロに近いですけどね。
Although in both cases, the probability is close to 0. Thank you, Tomoe. If it was the latter, there was no way she could have avoided being seen at the hospital. And more importantly, Reina Ryugu didn't seem to have a reason to kill him in the first place. And the former was utter nonsense. If it was possible to kill someone with a curse, there would be no way to catch evildoers. Unless your name was L. With that in mind, Tomoe was just skeptical of supernatural phenomena, but outright denied it.
お社様のたたりね。
The curse of Oyashiro-sama, huh?
以前お伺いした時から少々気になっていたんですが、確かに本人が知りもしないのにそのことを口にして挙句の果てに飛び降りた。
Now, she asked him about that in an earlier visit. But the victim himself claimed to have no knowledge of that before ultimately jumping to his death.
ただの自殺や事故にしては妙な感じですね。
But it feels too dang odd to write it off as mere accident or suicide.
県警の捜査一課長は殺人の線で見ているそうで、私も同意見です。
The first section chief at the prefectural police department shares the same opinion that it's likely murder.
本来なら一見捜査に当たるのですが、面識のあった子なので、せめて分かる範囲だけでも知っておきたいと思いまして。
The original investigators deemed it outside the scope of the investigation, but they were acquainted with the girl, so at the very least I'd like to understand what she knows.
いやいや、その考え方は立派です。
Oh my, that's a fine line of reasoning.
ああ、皮肉とは取らないでくださいよ。
Oh, please don't think I'm saying that ironically.
これは私が本気で思っていることなんですから。
Because I sincerely do believe that.
あ、いえ、そんなことは。
Oh, no, not at all. Tomoe scratched her head as she said that. For some reason, these days she had trouble accepting praise from other people. Her tendency to doubt people was a bad trend.
それにこの被害者は私の依頼でともえちゃんが調べに入ってくれた子です。
Besides, it was my request that got you all involved with this kid in the first place. Don't worry, Tom.
ということは私も無関係というわけではない。
So now y'all can't say I'm unrelated to this case.
喜んで協力させていただきますよ。
I'd be glad to help you all out.
助かります。
Thank you very much.
縄張り違いの私がこの町で大手を振って捜査活動を行うわけにはいきませんので。
Since I'm not from this area, there are limits on what I can do while investigating the town.
Ooh, そんなことはお気になさらなくても。
Ooh, that shouldn't be a problem.
そのための広域捜査官の肩書きなんでしょう？
Now, isn't that the goddamn point of your old wide area investigator title?
Seriously, it seems like that doesn't mean shit when she tried to investigate the disaster.
いえ、それはそうなんですが。
Well, that's true, but even so. When Uishi pointed that out, Tomoe responded with a vague, forced smile. Even with her wide area investigator title, cases like this that cross between Kanto and Chubu regions still cause problems. So, Tomoe's intention was to hand things off to Ibaraki Prefectural Police after finding some clues.
ただ、だからといって途中で放り投げたり、安易に人に丸投げしたりするのは後味が悪いですから。
But just throwing it away half complete leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
結局、自己満足だとよくわかっていますので、解決さえすればそれで十分です。
I do understand that this is for my own self-satisfaction, though. So long as the case is solved, I'll be satisfied.
相変わらず欲がないですね。
Selfless as ever, eh?
実績を着実に積み上げていくのもキャリアさんの出世に大きく関わってくるんですよ。
Now, our employees on the career path supposed to seek a steady flow of achievements in the name of career advancement.
準キャリアですよ、私は。
I'm on the quasi-career path.
それにこの件では私の関与が知られると実績よりも始末書の数が増えるだけだと思います。
Besides, if my involvement on this case became widely known, the only thing that would increase is the number of written apologies I'd have to write.
他の方にもご迷惑をおかけするかもしれませんし。
It may cause trouble for other people too.
そんな性格ですね。
Such a generous personality.
Uishi smiled as he said that. Behind those words was a concerned old man thinking, that doesn't mean it's okay to be ignored. Indeed, if they kept quiet about the jurisdictional boundaries, that would be the end of the story. It wasn't Tomoe's fault that Kohei Sawamura died, nor was she particularly close to his girlfriend Nagisa. Besides, the relevant precinct gave an evasive answer, saying it was a falling accident, but Hanjo was going to escalate it to prefectural police headquarters to take the investigation more seriously. Even without Tomoe's involvement, the situation was slowly turning around.
でもだからといって全部他人任せにはできない。
But I can't just leave it to everyone else.
私が約束したんだから。
Because I made a promise. That thought was probably the main reason Tomoe insisted on being so selfless. But Oishi could never resent her for that. In fact, deep down he respected it and thought she was dependable.
それにしてもお社様ですか？
Anyway, what's the deal with Oyashiro-sama?
以前大石さんに頼まれて調べた時は特に気にしていなかったのですが、何なんですかそれって？
You didn't seem very concerned when I asked you about that during the previous investigation, Oishi-san. But what does it mean?
ああ、ともいちゃんにはちゃんと説明したことがありませんでしたね。
Here we go.
I hadn't given you a proper explanation about that. Now have I, Tomoe-chan?
「お社様」ってのは隣の平見沢村に古くから伝わる守り神、いわゆる魔がつかみのことですよ。
Oishiro-sama is the guardian deity from the traditions passed down in Namazawa village. A calamitous deity.
魔がつかみ。
Calamitous deity?
それって人々に最悪をもたらすことで信仰心を煽る存在のことですよね。
As in an entity fated to bring disaster to the people.
ねえ、その通りです。
Got it in one.
そしてお社様は平見沢が鬼ヶ淵と呼ばれた大昔の時代から村の人々を畏敬と恐怖でもって支配していった。
And Oyashiro-sama has ruled over the villages of Namazawa with awe and fear since ancient times, when the village went by the name Onagafuchi.
Then Uishi lit a cigarette and began telling an old tale in a hushed tone.
平見沢では昔鬼たちが人間たちと共に暮らしていたと言われています。
Here we go, this story again.
They say that long ago, humans and demons live together in Namazawa.
そして彼らはたびたび下界に降りて人間をさらってはその血肉を食らっていた。
And when those demons descended upon the lower realm, they would occasionally kidnap and feed on humans.
その鬼と人間との仲を取り持ち共存できるように仕向けたのがいわゆるお社様でした。
Now then, this Oyashiro-sama acted as a mediator between the humans and the demons, allowing them to coexist.
だったらいい神様じゃないですか。
That sounds like a benevolent god.
それがどうして魔がつ神だと？
So why do you call it a calamitous god?
鬼たちは人間たちと共存しても従来の習慣である人食いをやめることができなかったんですよ。
Now, even though the demons cohabitated with the humans, they couldn't cease their traditional custom of feeding on them, their humans.
ですからお社様はその行動を制限付きで許すようになった。
So, Oyashiro-sama agreed to forgive this behavior under a certain condition.
いわゆる生贄ですね。
Something y'all might call a sacrifice.
人間たちにとってはたまったもんじゃありませんが、まあ無差別に食い殺されるよりはマシということでそれを受け入れてきました。
Now, as y'all might imagine, the humans have then their misgivings. But they accepted it because it was better than being killed indiscriminately.
That was the origin of the curse. In other words, Ueshiro-sama selected those of little faith and made them sacrifices to the curse by making them targets of the demon hunt. And in response, the demons graciously devoured the pathetic humans selected for the sacrifice. In other words, those who turn a blind eye to Oyashiro-sama have their lives taken at the hands of the demons.
なんだかお社様ってまるでマフィアの元締めですね。
Seriously. This Oyashiro-sama sounds like a mafia boss.
殺されるも殺されないもその神様の紫三寸ってわけですか。
Being killed or spared at the whim of some god?
確かに。
Indeed.
そんなわけですからお社様に目をつけられてはたたりで命が危ないってことで人間たちは信心を欠かさずその神様を祭り敬い続けた。
But because of that, the people are afraid that turning away from Oyashiro-sama will put their lives in danger, so they continue to be faithful and respectful.
Now that is a very good question, Void Dweller. Welcome to the stream, by the way. What happens if the demon chooses the wrong humans? I guess the demon would be punished. Welcome to the stream.
それがひなみ沢に残る古くからのお社様信仰の根源なんですよ。
And well, this right here is the root of the ancient faith in Oyashiro-sama, which still continues in Namazawa even today.
「でもだったらなぜ人間たちはそこまで鬼の脅威にさらされてまでひなみ沢で暮らし続けたのでしょう。
But if that's the case, why did the humans continue to live in Hinamizawa, even after the threat of the demons continued?
命の危険から逃れるのだったら別の土地に移住すればいいのに。
Wouldn't it be better to migrate to another land in order to escape the danger?
まあ詳しいことは分かりませんが、それだけひなみ沢の土地が住みやすかったのではないかと思います。
Well, now, I don't know all the details, but I think that the land in Namazawa was easy to live comfortable in.
ほらよく言うでしょ。火星は虎よりも猛なりと。
Y'all know what they say. Tyranny is more deadly than a tiger.
Indeed. There was an old proverb that said even if it was dangerous to live near ferocious beasts, that was still preferable to heavy taxes and terrible work conditions. She didn't know exactly what kind of forces were at work in the surrounding municipalities, but Onigafuchi village may well have been a region free of conflict and tyranny.
それに加えて鬼たちは人間たちにはない知識があったそうで、彼らには決して作れない薬とか食べ物とかを提供していたという話もあります。
Now, in addition to that, there are stories saying the demons possess knowledge that humans lacked, in order to share food and drugs that the humans couldn't make.
ですから共存には確かにメリットもあったんですよ。
So there was undoubtedly merit to their coexistence.
なるほど。
I see.
しかし鬼たちも人間を狩るだけの力があるのに、よく人間の神様に従う気になりましたね。
But even though the demons were given the power to hunt humans, they chose to obey a human god.
普通に考えれば無視して好き勝手に暴れ回ってもおかしくなさそうですが。
Normally you'd think they'd ignore it and go around rampaging as they please.
いやいや、実はそのお社様自身が鬼だったんですよ。
Oh no. In reality, Oshiro-sama was a demon as well.
そして人間たちと積極的に関わっていくことで、彼らの信頼と畏怖を集め、人間と鬼の仲介役を果たしていた。
And by actively engaging with the humans, Oshiro-sama was about to garner their trust and the trust and fear necessary to act as an intermediary between humans and demons.
実際、その後鬼たちは人間たちと交わっていき、その血と本能を薄めつつ共存の道を歩んで現在に至るわけです。
In fact, the humans and demons commingled so closely that their blood mixed after that.
ですからひなみ沢の住人は鬼の血を引いているとの言い伝えが今もなお根強く残っています。
And so even today, legends persist that the denizens of Namazawa possess the blood of demons.
And it is said that the blood ran strongest in Hinamizawa's ancient ruling parties, the three families, the Kimiyoshi, Sunazaki, and Furude families. They had a powerful voice in the politics and rituals throughout the village, and they were able to lead the villages to fight against the state in the campaign against the dam construction project.
つまり鬼とは本当の意味の化け物ではなく、狩猟で生活を営んでいた山岳民族のようなもの。
In other words, the demons weren't actually monsters, but some sort of mountain-dwelling race of humans.
食人はともかく呪術的な習慣を持ち合わせていた彼らが山を降りて農耕民族の暮らす社会へと侵入し、征服か和平の道を見つけて共存した。
Setting aside the cannibalism, these people with supernatural customs descended from the mountains and then invaded the nearby agricultural community. but eventually found a way to coexist via conquest or peace.
お社様はさしずめ強力なカリスマを持った共通の指導者、そんなところですかね。
Ultimately, Ueshiro-sama was a charismatic leader who found common ground between the two sides, or something along those lines.
ともえちゃんはリアリストだな。
Tomoe-chan, you're such a realist.
そういう文化人類学的な解釈じゃなく、言葉通り鬼と神様の話でいいじゃないですか。
Now, we all can't even have a conversation about gods and demons without y'all adding a cultural, anthropological interpretation.
あ、すみません。
Oh, sorry.
でも私ってたたりとか頂上の類をあまり信じられない性分ですから。
But I simply can't believe in curses or other supernatural phenomena.
お社様のたたりで人が死ぬって話も今一つピンときません。
So saying that the curse of Ueshiro-sama is killing people just doesn't sit right with me. Tomoe thought of the idea of using a curse to subjugate people was utter nonsense in the first place. If spells and magic could control the fate of men, even life and death, then there was no point in the very existence of the police or law itself. Even now, as she thought that, she believed it to be an inelegant way of thinking. However... Ueshi-san? Tomoe couldn't help but tilt her head and stare when she noticed Ueshi's oddly mysterious expression. He thought silently for a while, carefully choosing his words, before finally addressing Tomoe.
ともえちゃん、
Tomoe-chan.
たたりで人が死ぬって話、ここじゃちっともバカバカしくなんかないんですよ。
Tomoe-chan, in this case, talk of a curse killing people isn't so ridiculous.
数ヶ月前にも人が確かに死んでいます。
Now, people really have died. Even as recently as a few months ago.
え？
Huh? People dying from a curse. It's not just some old tale, but it's something still happening today. Although honestly, Tomoe was even more dubious than surprised. However, Ueshi wasn't one to tell ghost stories or joke around, intending to scare someone, and he began talking in a matter-of-fact tone.
先ほどお話しした鬼の人食いの習慣なんですが、当時の村で年に一度綿流しという儀式が行われて、そこで鬼への生贄が捧げられていました。
About the tradition I mentioned earlier, where the demons feasted on humans. In those days, the village had a yearly ceremony called Tokihogushi, where a sacrifice is offered to the demons.
それは生贄に選ばれた人間が腹を裂かれて、つまり腹綿ですね。それを川に流して たたりを鎮めるという内容だったと言います。
Humans slated for the sacrifice would have their stomachs split open, and their entrails will be sent drifting down the river to quell the curse.
そしてその儀式は今もなおひなみ沢において続けられている。
And that ceremony is still conducted in Namizawa even today.
まさかと思いますが、それが本当に行われているわけじゃないんですよね。
I find that hard to believe. Are you saying they're actually doing that?
まあさすがに腹渡は流しませんよ。
Well, of course. They're not actually sending entrails drifting down the river.
今では布団とか着物とか普段使っている綿製品の中の綿を流すことでお世話になっている日用品に感謝するという意味合いに変化しています。
Nowadays, they can take some everyday product like a futon or kimono and slice out the cotton, then send that drifting downstream as a way of expressing their gratitude for their daily necessities. Their simple, bare necessities.
Yoかった。
Thank goodness. Tomoe was relieved to hear that. Even if it was just a small, remote town deep in the mountains, she couldn't accept that such an inhumane act was being conducted out in the open.
しかしですね、その代わりと言っちゃなんなんですが、
However, in lieu of that,
ひなみ沢ではここ数年、その綿流しのお祭りの晩に奇妙な事件が起こっているんですよ。
奇妙な事件？
Mysterious incidents?
殺人ですよ。あと行方不明者も出ています。
murders. And missing people too.
これは冗談でも何でもなく本当のことなんですよ。
Murders. Missing people too. This is no joke. It's all true.
3 years ago, the dam construction manager's dismembered body was discovered. One of the people involved in the murder ran away and was still missing. His wife allegedly fell off the cliff together with him, but her whereabouts were still unknown. Oh, here we go. It skipped for some reason. 2 years ago, a man who went against the village's wishes and accepted aid money from the state for supporting the dam construction project died in a falling accident. Last year, the shrine priest and head of the Furude family, one of the 3 families ruling the area, who had taken a neutral stance in the campaign against the dam project, suddenly died of an unknown illness. And his wife seemingly committed suicide by jumping into a nearby swamp. A will was found, but her body was never discovered. And then,
今年もやはり一人が死んで一人がいなくなりました。
yep, it's Satoshi time.
And this year as well, one person died, and another went missing.
え？
That happened on a Sunday in June. A housewife was murdered late at night in the outskirts of the village, shortly after the village Tokihogushi festival was held. She was the sister of the dam supporter who died 2 years ago.
そういや、ともえちゃんに竜宮レイナの件を依頼した時にはお話ししていませんでしたね。
By the way, I didn't tell you this when you're asked about the Reina Ryugu case.
顔を鈍器か何かでそりゃもうひどく潰されていまして。
Her face was crushed using some sort of blunt weapon.
犯人は相当怨恨とか憎悪を被害者に持っていたようですね。
Her face? Doesn't he mean the guy's face?
Apparently, the killer felt that level of contempt for the victim.
もともとこの渡流しには奇妙な言い伝えがありまして。
Originally, there was a peculiar legend about this Tokihogushi.
この祭りが行われた晩に一人が殺され、そして一人が行方不明になる。
On the night of the festival, one person's killed and one goes missing.
なんてことが起こると言われています。
That's what they say.
そして今年もそれが繰り返された。
And it's repeating, even this year.
行方不明者が出たのですか？
So a person went missing too.
ねえ、殺された主婦の息子さん。
That's right. It was the son of the murdered housewife.
ああ、いや、正確には甥なんですがね。
It was the son of the murdered housewife. No, sorry, it's actually her nephew.
事件発生から数日後、突然行方不明に。
He suddenly went missing a few days after the incident.
その子は事件に何か関与していたのですか？
Was the boy involved in the incident?
関与とは？
Involved?
例えば被害者に対する感情とか事件当日のアリバイとか。
For example, how did he feel toward the victim? Did he have an alibi for the day of the incident? As soon as Uishi heard that, he let out a light ho, as if impressed. In a murder case, it's difficult for someone who disappears right after the incident to be considered a suspect. However, thanks to the pattern of deaths from the curse, ordinary people would regard the missing person as another victim. So, being able to identify him as a potential culprit based on that basic information was a testament to her excellent organizational skills.
いや、さすが勘がいいですね。
Oh, that's some impressive intuition.
ええ、実はその主婦殺しの重要参考人としてマークしていました。
Indeed, we do consider him a key suspect in the housewife's murder.
もともと彼のアリバイにはいろいろと不審な点がありましてね。
First off, there were several suspicious points about his alibi.
しかも家庭内の不和、その直前の不審な言動、犯行に踏み切るだけの要素が揃いすぎていた。
On top of that, there was some discord within the family. He knew his suspicious behavior just before the incident.
ですから泳がせつつもその動向を伺っていたのですが。
So even though we let him walk free, we still follow that lead.
捜査の手が及ぶ前に逃げたと。
But he ran away before investigators could apprehend him.
それでその行方は？
So where did he go?
新幹線の駅で似たような人物を目撃したという証言はあったんですが、結局ダメでした。
A witness testified seeing a person matching his description at a train station. But in the end, it all amounted to nothing. She tried so hard, we came so far, but in the end, it really didn't matter. A witness testified seeing a person matching his description at a train station. But in the end, it amounted to nothing.
その代わりにいきなり真犯人と名乗るやつが出てきたので、捜査もそこでストップしちゃったんですよ。
Instead, someone suddenly came out claiming to be the real culprit shortly after that. So the investigation altered right there.
誰だったんですかそれ？
Who was that?
頭のおかしなやつで変な薬をやっているとのことでした。
Oh, some weird drug addict that wasn't right in the head.
もっとも取り調べ中に自殺したそうで、詳細はよく分かっていませんが。
Some weird drug addict that wasn't right in the head. Although he committed suicide during the interrogation, so the details aren't all that clear. Okay, so he's dead.
本当にそれは犯人だったんですか？
Was he really the culprit?
わかりません。
That I don't know.
県警ではそういうことになっています。
Professional police sure seem to think so.
ただ脈略も動機もはっきりしない上、突然降って湧いたように現れたってのがどうもうさんくさくて信用できない。
The circumstances and motives are still unclear, and something doesn't smell right about how suddenly he appeared. It's all hard to believe.
今でもそのいなくなった甥っ子が犯人だと私は思っています。
Even now, I think the nephew that disappeared is the culprit.
確信と言ってもいいかもしれない。
That's my firm belief.
それに
Also,
それに
my
なん
God,
となくこれは刑事としての勘なんですがね。
this might just be my detective's intuition talking to me, but
その一個は単に家庭不和による怨恨から殺人を犯したとはちょっと思えない。
this might be just my detective's intuition talking to me. But I don't think the nephew committed this murder simply because of a domestic dispute.
もともと妹思いの優しい子で衝動的に暴力に訴える性格ではなかったそうですからね。
Originally, he was a kind-hearted boy who cared about his sister, not predisposed to violence.
ですから勝手な憶測だと言われることを覚悟で申し上げれば、その子は何者かの意思で殺人を行い、そして消された。
So, if y'all indulge a selfish fantasy of mine, I think it was someone else's intention that he murder her and then disappear.
そんな気がしてならないんです。
So if y'all indulge a selfish fantasy of mine, I think it was someone else's intention that he made her murder her and then disappear. That he murdered her and then disappear. That's how I felt.
何者かの意志。それは
Someone else's intention? What do you mean?
つまりさっきの話ですよ。
Oh, in short, it's just like the story I told you all earlier.
お社様。それが彼を突き動かしたのではないかと。
Well, Shirasama was the one that forced him to act.
そんな
No way. Tomoe couldn't say it was impossible. In fact, as she uttered the name, she thought of the girl who resorted to violence for some unknown reason.
では竜宮玲奈もそれと同様に沢村浩平を
So that goes for.
So that goes for Reina Ryugu too. When she attacked Koei Sawamura.
まあ何ら確証はありませんが、ありえない話ではないと思います。
Well, now there's no concrete evidence, but I don't think it's impossible.
お社様が文字通り頂上のものか、それとも村の総意によるものの代弁なのかは私にもわからない。
Hell. Well, there's no concrete evidence, but I don't think it's impossible. Hell, I still don't know if Oishira saw him as little as a supernatural entity, or someone vocalizing their collective will of the village.
ですが、その意志は普通に生活を送っている人を死に追いやったり、あるいは殺しに駆り立てたりすることができる。
However, that will can drive normal people living otherwise people's lives to commit murder.
そんな力を持っているってことになりませんかね。
Can someone with that power truly exist?
Yup. Drive someone to murder? So was the previous incident between Reina Ryugu and her classmates instigated by someone else's will? If so, what on earth is the connection? Why would Reina Ryugu commit an act of violence in a town that had nothing to do with Inamizawa?
正直わからないことだらけで頭が痛くなります
To be honest, my head is starting to hurt from all the things I still don't understand.
まったくですな。
Absolutely.
何にせよ、竜宮レイナには確かに謎があると言ってもいいのかもしれません。
In any case, there certainly is something mysterious about Reina Ryugu.
調べてみて損はないかと。
We have nothing to lose by investigating.
ですね
Indeed.
すみませんが大石さん沢村浩平死亡時の竜宮玲奈のアリバイを念のために調べていただけますでしょうか
Sorry to impose, Oishi-san, but would you mind investigating Reina Ryugu's alibi for the time of Koei Samura's death?
わかりました。
Understood.
それで、ともえちゃんは
What are y'all gonna do, Tomoe-chan?
一度竜宮玲奈がどんな子かこの目で見てみたいです
This time, I'd like to see this Reina Ryugu girl with my own eyes.
本当に私が聞いたイメージ通りの子なのか
Is she really the kind of person I've heard about? Tomoe rested her chin on her hand after saying that. Reina Ryugu and Minamizawa village. She wanted to uncover whatever the connection was between the two of them. Here we go. That was a lot of repeated exposition. I think there should have been a better way to do that. Basically, that was stuff that you definitely know already. I don't know why they felt they had the need to show all that. Like, only the end really had some new stuff. Huh. Like, repeating all of that stuff about Oyashido. You'd think they just cut to her reaction. It's quite unlike Higurashi. Usually when somebody tries to repeat an explanation of something, or something like that, like, they cut away from the scene. Anyway, let's do this tip at the flower bed. In the end, I ended up going after school.
思ったより時間かかっちゃったな。
Nagisa perspective.
That took longer than I thought.
For now, I decided to visit the flower bed in the yard before heading to the faculty room. One section of the flower bed was maintained by the gardening club, and the multicolored autumn flowers were in full bloom.
渚?
Huh? Nagisa? Oh, it looks just like the school that she goes to in the other two arcs. Just then, I ran into a classmate from the club who was doing some weeding. She raised her head to look this way, and her eyes opened wide as soon as she saw me.
渚, 心配してたんだよ。
Nagisa, I was like so worried.
もう出てきても平気なの?
Is it okay for you to be back soon?
ごめんね。
Yeah, sorry.
今週私が当番なのに代わってもらっちゃって。
I was on duty this week, but I guess you ended up filling in for me.
そんなの全然構わないよ。
Oh, I don't mind at all.
それよりも私、あなたのことが。
Forget about me. What about you? The girl grabbed me by the arms and looked up at me with moist, cloudy eyes. A face that could burst into tears at any moment. She was seriously worried about me. She had been caring for me every day since the incident and trying to encourage me. Until a little while ago, I thought she was a thoughtless and aloof girl, so surprised to see so much compassion out of her, and I was glad to see it. I didn't have any friends I could consider close friends since transferring here. But she was the only person I told about the incident with Kohei-kun.
心配かけてごめんね。
Sorry for making you worry.
もう平気。とはまだ言えないけど、少しは元気出てきたから。
I can't say I'm feeling perfectly fine, but I am feeling a lot better.
明日からはちゃんと学校に通うね。
I think I'll start going to school properly, starting tomorrow.
よかった。
Oh, thank goodness.
The girl rubbed her muddy face to fight back the sobbing as tears came trickling out. When I saw that, I couldn't help but burst into tears too.
Oh.
じゃあなんとかなりそうなの?
Well, it seems like you'll be able to get through this.
沢村くんのこと。
Saramura-kun.
うん。すごく優しい刑事さんと知り合ってね。できる限り力になってくれるって。
Oh, so she's not his girlfriend. Which is really weird. Is she his cousin? Or his sister? But she acts like a girlfriend. That is really weird. If her name is Sawamura.
Yeah, I met a really nice detective who's doing everything she can to help. さっきも電話でいろいろとお話ししていて遅くなっちゃったの。I was talking to you on the phone earlier about all kinds of things, and it got really late.
Oh, that is so sweet. That detective named Minot wasn't just getting information out of me. She was carefully choosing her words to make sure I didn't get hurt, and her attitude felt sincere. Of course, there were still parts of the investigation she couldn't tell me about. Nevertheless, she apologized in those cases, always, and explained why she couldn't talk about it. And in the middle of conversation, she'd always say things like, "Please cheer up, and I'll definitely keep my promise." I appreciated the encouragement.
すごく忙しい人みたいなんだけど、そんなこと感じさせないっていうか。She seems like a really nice person, but she never made me feel that way. A really busy person, but she never made me feel that way. さっそうとしてかっこよくて、なんか憧れちゃうんだ。She always seems so cool and gallant, like she was longing for something.
Career woman っての？
So she was a career woman?
すごいな、女性で刑事さんなんて。
A female detective. That's impressive. That's right. The people who embrace earnest aspirations like that allow us to ask adults for help, no matter how desperate the situation is. And we do our best to become those sorts of adults. That's why I want to become an even more amazing adult. She is so cute. I really thought that she was his girlfriend. But she's his sister or cousin, apparently? Maybe that person is. Even though I confessed what Koei-kun told me on that day, she may not have believed it. No, I'm certain she believed me. I'm still a little worried, but the next time we meet, I'll be bold enough to talk about it.
あ、そうだ。Right. ここのコスモス、あと少しで咲くよね。This cosmos flower is just about to bloom, isn't it? ちょっとだけもらってもいい？ Would it be alright if I took one?
うん、いいけど、どうするの？
Yeah, that's fine, but what are you gonna do with it?
綺麗に咲いたら、刑事さんにプレゼントしたいなって。
I'd like to give it to that detective properly, once it properly blooms.
喜んでくれたらいいな。I hope that'll make her happy.
Oh, that was Nagisa, sorry.
I'd like to use that detective properly once it properly blooms. I hope that'll make her happy.
This Thursday, Minai-san will be doing office work at the police station. When I called earlier, that's what the detective that answered told me. detective said she might be too busy to see me if I go visit her, but I'm certain Minai-san will make time for me. Come to think of it, what was that detective's name? She didn't know her first name. So that is really interesting. Oh wow, that was a bit of a longer tip. Anyway, let's get back to the main story. Continue. This is a brand new background for Hinamizawa.
ここがひなみ沢村。
And I believe this is the first time that Tomoe herself has come to Hinamizawa. We might actually see some familiar faces in this arc. Not Keiichi, but pretty much everybody else. And all these new backgrounds for Hinamizawa. So, this is Hinamizawa Village. The surrounding area was full of natural atmosphere. The golden ears of rice floated in the wind along the sprawling sea of pastoral land. The lusciously verdant, freshly grown crops in the field were some sort of fruit? Vegetables? The wind blowing through the open windows carried in a distinct aroma, different from the summer grass. A fresh, calming air that you could just melt into. Then, just beyond the fields and old-fashioned houses, there were several newly built houses lined up at irregular intervals.
のどかな雰囲気の村ですね。
What a peaceful village.
心が洗われます。
It feels so soothing.
私も決して嫌いじゃありませんよ。
Yeah, I can't say I've ever disliked it here.
事件さえなければね。
As long as there ain't an incident.
She lightly tilted her head to steal a quick glance at Iwishi, who was driving. He seemed to have something on his mind as he stared straight at the road ahead.
と、
Whoa. Here we go, crossing the threshold. The frame of the car shook as it hit a bump in the gravel road. The suspension seemed pretty worn out. The impact propagated straight to her seat, causing her to jump up.
年季入ってますね。
You've got a lot of experience with this.
大石さんは平気なんですか？
You seem like you're handling it just fine. Hey, Uishi-san?
長年の愛車ですからね。
Yeah, I've had this car for years.
よしそうでしたらどうぞ遠慮なく言ってください。
If y'all are feeling carsick, don't hesitate to speak up.
大丈夫ですよ。
I'm alright.
私、三半規管には自信がありますので。
I'm sure my inner ears will get me through this. She gave a confident answer, but the car was shaking so much she couldn't feel comfortable without a hand on the handle above the window. Tomoe focused her eyes at a distant point in an effort to stave off motion sickness, and lamented not driving here in her own car. Jeez.
さて、ともえちゃんはこの後どうします？
Same, Void Dweller.
So, Tomoe-chan, y'all have any plans after this?
そうですね。
Come to think of it,
ホテルのチェックインにはまだ早いですし。
it's still a little early to check into the hotel. Tomoe glanced at her watch as she said that, while following Uishi out of the coffee shop. The sun was still high enough in the sky, as she didn't need to check the time.
本当は明日行く予定でしたが、このままひなみ沢に行って竜宮家を訪ねてみようと思います。
I was actually planning to go tomorrow, but I suppose I could head to Hinamizawa and visit the Ryugu household.
大石さんのお話も気になりますし。
I'm also worried about what you told me, Uishi-san. Is the volume a bit quiet to anyone, or is my voice a bit quiet in today? I'm coming in a bit low sometimes. She wanted to see this girl herself, but she was still a minor, so making direct contact at this time would be premature. Tomoe had to stay vigilant and avoid doing things that could impede future information gathering. Instead, she could listen to what her parents had to say and get to know the situation behind her family environment.
そうですか。
It sounds normal. Thank you, Void Dweller.
Oh, is that so?
なら車取ってきますので私もご一緒しますよ。
And why don't we head there together? I can drive.
大丈夫ですよ。
Oh, I'll be alright.
私の車、この近くの駐車場に停めていますから。
Oh, I'll be alright. My car is parked a lot close to here. In a lot close to here.
いやいや、遠慮は無用ですよ、ともえちゃん。
Oh dear. Modesty is unnecessary, Tomoe-chan.
女性を助手席に乗せるなんて、後にも先にもめったにないことですからね。
Jesus Christ, Uishi is like 10,000 times more perverted in the console arcs. In the main arcs, this barely comes up at all.
And it's a rare occasion for me to have a lady in the passenger seat. Tomoe-chan, and it's a rare occasion for me to have a lady in the passenger seat.
なんかいやらしいな。
Don't be obscene.
でも本当にお気遣いは。
But honestly, even though I appreciate your concern. However, when Tomoe tried to decline again, the smile vanished from Uishi's face, and he turned to look straight at Tomoe-chan. There was no hint of levity in his expression. When Tomoe noticed that, she realized he was no longer joking around.
大石さん、
Uishi-san?
悪いことは言いません。乗ってきた車で行くのはおやめなさい。
I don't mean any harm by this, but please stop traveling in the car you drove here in.
ひなみ沢は排他的な村だと先ほどもお話ししましたが、その中をよそ者のあなたが予備知識もなく走り回るのは決してプラスにはならない。
Now, I told Joel earlier, Hinamizawa is a very exclusive village, so it's never a good idea for outsiders to wander around unannounced.
そういえば分かってもらえますかね。
Y'all get what I'm saying?
危険なんですか
Are
ひ
you,
なみざわは。
are you saying it's dangerous in Hinamizawa?
いやいや、私がちょっと過敏になっているだけかもしれません。
Oh no, maybe I'm just being a little oversensitive.
今は綿流しとは全く関係のない時期ですし、観光とかで足を踏み入れた人もちゃんと無事に帰ってきています。
It is far enough away from Tokihogushi now, and there are legitimate tourists coming here for sightseeing.
ただそれでも他県ナンバーの車で回るのは村の連中に余計な警戒心を持たせる可能性がある。
Even so, there's a chance that the villagers will be extra cautious if they see a car was placed from another prefecture.
特にあなたは刑事ですからね。
It's very funny, Void Dweller. It's almost like there was a different writer. Of course there was. I'm just surprised that they would bother explaining such a thing again. Especially this late in the game. Something that was explained way, way, way back.
Especially a detective like yourself.
We she had a valid point. Tomoe was certainly being a little careless. If she was simply going to visit Reina Ryugu, she could go by on her own. But if there was still a chance some shadow was lurking behind the scenes. In which case, it's probably best not to drive around in a car from another prefecture.
わかりました。
Understood.
それじゃご好意に甘えさせていただきます。
Very well. I'll accept your hospitality. Then, Tomoe was able to see various places within Hinamizawa while Ueshi was at the wheel. EDA Clinic, the only hospital in the area. The households of the Kimiyoshi and Sonozaki families, of the three families. The Forestry Service building currently being used as the Hinamizawa branch school. And then,
ここに例の竜宮レーナは通っているのですか
does Reina Ryugu go to school here?
ねえ、そうです。
Yep, that's right.
あいにく今日は祝日ですから誰もいませんがね。
Although today's holiday, so there's nobody here.
From inside the car, she turned her head to look at the school building on the other end of the yard. The heavy construction equipment and woodworking tools casually placed beside it made it look more like a logging facility than a school building.
無理して通えないほどではないんですが、ここから沖宮の学校まで。だから村の連中が子供たちの通学中の安全を考えて、ここに分校を作らせたんですよ。
Whoops, sorry about that. Oh, it's the same line.
School in Okonomiya is an extremely long distance from here. Way too far to walk. So the people in the village converted this into a school for the sake of the children.
へえ。
Wow.
もっとも当時の理由はむしろ別のことにあった。
Of course, at the time there was a completely different reason.
ここに分校を作って子供たちを通わせることで、学校を奪われる彼らのことを刺激的にマスコミに喧伝させ、
They
ダム
want
建設計画の悪辣ぶりをアピールしたかったんだと思います。
they want to appeal to the mass media with a scandalous story about how the dam construction project was depriving kids of their school.
It was cutting but effective. Even in Kakuichi, More residents built their homes on the planned airport construction site. The people appealed to the mass media, pleading for them not to destroy the source of their children's precious education. The crops they went through painstaking effort to grow would be devastated, and the children were crying. Tomoe had a bitter smile on her face as she remembered watching the adults act out the farce on TV.
まあとにかくすごかったんですよ。
Anyway, it was rather amazing.
なりふり構わずってのはああいうことを言うんでしょうな。
Anyway, it was rather amazing. No matter how you all look at it, there's one thing you can say.
暴力、押しかけ、根回し活動。自分たちの村が失われるか否かの瀬戸際ですから理解もできますが、
Violence
合
stop.
法非合法を問わず、あらゆる手を打って抗議活動をしていました。
Violence, stalking, underhanded deals. Their village was on the brink of being lost, so they had to put everything they had into fighting it, with no regard for the law.
そしてその団結に、お社様信仰が一役買っていたというわけです。
And their faith in Ueshiro-sama was a key element of that unification.
なるほど。
I see. However, when Tomoe listened to Ueshi's explanation, something felt out of place. Just like in the coffee shop earlier, Ueshi seemed to have a strong emotional stake in the dam construction project and the curse of Hinamizawa. Almost an obsession. Even when discussing the various incidents so far, even though he tried to think and analyze them with a certain degree of objectivity, he wasn't one to hold back his emotions when it came to an investigation.
ちなみに、竜宮玲奈の学校での様子はどんな感じですか？
By the way, how was Reina Ryugu's school life?
それにつきましては、あまり学校側から情報を明らかにしてもらえないので、細かいことは何とも。
About that. We haven't received much information from the school, so the details are thin.
ただ、おそらく至って普通だと思います。
However, I think it's probably fairly ordinary.
実際に問題を起こした話もありませんし、聞き込みを行った限りでは、下級生たちの印象も悪くないようですからね。
Actually, haven't heard any talk about her causing problems. In fact, her younger classmates seem to have a good impression of her.
では、大石さんはどうして少し前彼女を調べようと考えたんですか？
So it sounds like you've been doing some investigating of your own, Ueshi-san.
例の行方不明になったという北条聡君ですが、
He was related to Tokihogushi-kun's disappearance.
いなくなる前に彼女と話をしていたそうでしてね。
I heard that he spoke with her before he went missing in Miyakashi.
お社様についての。
About Ueshiro-sama.
お社様の？
About Oyashiro-sama? Ueshi told Tomoe what he had heard from another female student. According to her, Reina Ryugu apparently consulted with Satoshi Hojo a few days before this year's Watanagashi incident occurred.
普段から誰かに後ろからつけられている感じがすると。
About frequently feeling like there was someone following behind him.
その子も最初聞いた時は何のことやらさっぱりわからなかったそうですがね。
while frequently feeling like there was someone following behind him. And when he first asked, she said she heard it like acted like she already understood.
Yep, I remember that talk.
サトシ君が体験していることはすべてお社様のたたりの前触れなの。
Hello, baby girl! Oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen Retta!
Everything Satoshi-kun has been experiencing is an omen of Yashiro-sama's curse. 誰かが遠くからじっと伺っている。 Someone is staring at you from a distance. 誰かがずっとつけてくる。 Someone is constantly following you. 誰かがいつも自分のすぐ後ろから見ている。 Someone is always watching you from behind. やがて足音は常に自分とずれて一つ余計に聞こえるようになるの。 Eventually, you'll be able to hear an extra footstep that wasn't your own. それらは初めのうちはお外でだけだけど At first it will only happen outside. やがて後ろのそれは自分の家の中にまでついてくるようになる But soon enough, I'll be following behind you even in your own home. そしてお布団に入って明かりを消してもずっと枕元から見下ろしてるの And even after you turn off the lights and crawl into your futon, I'll be standing by your bedside, looking down on you. ただただ黙ってじーっと In total silence, patiently waiting. 自らの罪を認めるまで Until you admit your sins. サトシ君は夢見が悪いって最初言い出したの At first, Satoshi-kun mentioned that he was having bad dreams. それで私がどんな夢と聞いたら私の時をなぞるようだった At first, Satoshi-kun mentioned he was having bad dreams. So what kind of dreams were they? When I asked him about it, they reminded me of my own. だから私、彼に予告したの That's why I had to warn him. その気配がやがて近づき、足音を聞かせるようになり、常にサトシ君を見下ろしているようになったなら。The sounds would get closer and closer, until you hear the footsteps, constantly looking down on Satoshi-kun. それはきっと私の時と同じだから相談してって。It sounded like just like my experience, as though you had to talk to him about it.
それがお社様だと。
And that's Oyashiro-sama.
ねえ。
Right.
それからその北条聡君ですが、家庭の不和の件で相当悩んでいたようでして、それが殺意の理由と我々は考えていました。
After that, Satoshi Hojo-kun was especially worried about his family problems, which we thought was his motivation for committing the murder.
彼と妹は叔父夫婦と同居していたのですが、とにかく仲が悪くって。
He and his sister were living with their aunt and uncle, but they didn't get along.
特に彼の妹が懐かなかったようで、毎日のように衝突して大騒ぎになって。
Oh, his sister wasn't taking it very well, There were daily conflicts. It was a big fuss.
その妹を叔父夫婦からかばっていたのですが、それが苦痛になるほど疲れ切っていたとのことです。
Protecting his sister from his aunt and uncle had to be painfully exhausting.
その件に対して警察は何も。
Oh, Tomoe, don't even get me started on this. That was such a huge issue in Higurashi. Did the police not do anything to help?
動けませんよ。よほど確固たる証拠でもない限りはね。
Police couldn't do a damn thing. Not without solid evidence.
Oh my god.
それは公的機関の生活相談所でも同じことです。
They couldn't do anything. Not without solid evidence. The counselor's office did the same goddamn thing.
まして村の裏切り者扱いを受けた北条家の問題。ひなみ沢の連中も見て見ぬふりをし続けていました。
Not to mention there's a problem of how the village treated the Ojo family. The people of Hinamizawa pretended they didn't see nothing.
3 years ago, Satoshi Hojo's parents went against the village and refused to oppose the Hinamizawa Dam project. They even tried to convince other villagers to support it. As a result, they were branded as traitors who sold out their hometown. Even after Hojo and his wife died in the accident 2 years ago, nobody offered them any sympathy. Not only that, but the villagers continued to treat their children coldly. 2 youngsters who couldn't find any relief from their unfair treatment, so they simply continued to endure it.
ひどい話です。
Oh, hello, Mad Goldsmith. Welcome to the stream. Okay, just say hi. Okay. Well, thank you. I hope you're gonna enjoy the Umineko Let's Play. Thank you so much for stopping by. What an awful story.
その件については私たちの力が及ばずお恥ずかしい限りです。
It's shameful, but we didn't have the power to help him.
その後生き残った叔父はたたりを恐れて沖宮の愛人のところへ転がり込み、残された妹は友人と二人暮らしを始めました。
After that, the surviving uncle became terrified of the curse and moved in with his mistress in Okunomiya. And the sister started living together with her friend.
解決には程遠い話ですが、少なくとも地獄のような生活からは脱出したとは言えるのかもしれませんね。
The story is far from resolved. And I suppose y'all could say they did escape from a living hell, so, you know, props to them.
Tomoe looked out the window while enduring the painful conversation. She simply couldn't see it as someone else's problem. Is she gonna try to help them? Oh, that would be amazing.
いくら重荷でも兄弟がいなくなって嬉しいわけがない。
No matter how much of a burden it was, there's no way she could be happy with her brother gone. Tomoe thought back on her own past. When Madoka left and Tomoe was on her own, life certainly did get easier. Her living expenses were cut in half, so she didn't have to work impossibly hard at her part-time job. And the time she spent visiting her at the hospital for rehabilitation could be freely used for her own purposes. But if anyone asked if she was happy, the answer would be no. Her grandmother often went out of town on business trips, so even if she returned home, nobody would be there. She'd turn on the lights, leave the TV on even though she wasn't watching it, and make a meal for one, then eat in silence. Her excessively serious personality proved disastrous as well. She couldn't call a friend to make small talk, and she couldn't play outside. She had an extremely boring college life of nothing but studying. Back then, she was constantly haunted by thoughts about her sister's current well-being. The loneliness prevented her from distracting herself with anything else.
その妹さんはどうなんだろう。私と同じ気持ちなんだろうか。
Oh, God bless you, Tomoe, for worrying about Satoko. I hope you get to do something about it in this arc. How is the boy's younger sister doing? I wonder if she feels the same way I did. Perhaps she wasn't feeling as lonely since she was living with a close friend. Still, whenever she woke up in the middle of the night, whenever she came home alone, she immediately remembered. You take for granted that people will always be there. Send them the pain of their absence.
それでですね。ともえちゃん
Anyway, Tomoe-chan.
ああ、すみません。お社様の話でしたね。
Huh? Sorry. We were talking about that story about Oyashiro-sama.
それが竜宮玲奈とどういう関係が？
So how does that tie back to Reina Ryugu?
竜宮玲奈はどうやら両親が離婚することになった家庭問題の原因をお社様のたたりと考えていたようです。
Apparently, Reina Ryugu seems to think that the curse of Oyashiro-sama is responsible for her family problems and her parents' divorce.
実際事件を起こした直前にもその後にもその存在を認めていたような発言がありましたからね。
In fact, she made remarks seeming to confirm Oyashiro-sama's existence both before and after the incident.
後ろをひたひたペタペタとついてくる何者かの気配があると。
Signs of someone following behind her, making footsteps.
それって一体何なんでしょうか？
What on earth could that be?
正直私にもわかりません。
To be honest, I don't know.
妄想にしてはできすぎているし、しかも事件を起こした2人が類似のものを感じているとあっては安易に迷信と片付けられるものではないのかもしれませんね。
Too much to think it's some delusion. And two different people who caused incidents both had similar experiences. But it can't be so simple as tying it back to superstition.
Tomoe stole a glance at Iwishi, who was looking in the direction they were traveling. His expression implied he wasn't joking around, so she couldn't think of anything to say in response. When she first agreed to Uishi's request to help an investigation, she didn't think it would be such a difficult story. A girl under some sort of stress exploded one day and violently lashed out. That was the impression she got. And in order to evade her guilty conscience about the crime she committed, she subconsciously packed the responsibility onto something else she knew and convinced herself it was the truth. It was a common phenomenon for us adolescent boys and girls, so she thought that Rei Noryuka was going through something similar. But two people who seem to have very little contact both describe the same abnormal fear of this Oyashiro-sama before turning to violent behavior. No. It wasn't her father. It was the guy her mother married. I guess it would be her stepfather, but she kind of disowned her mother, so it feels like it was the guy her mother married, so because she's not really related to that guy. She hates his guts. So there may be more to what they're saying than simply deflecting responsibility. After that, Uishi passed through the center of the village and headed into a mountainous area. Oh my god, they're going to the dump. How did they know she has the secret? Do they know she has her freaking hideout here? And the weeds growing alongside of the road as they arrived made it seem like there were no signs of human activity.
ここは
Where are we?
先ほどお話ししたひなみ沢ダム戦争の跡地ですよ。
Okay. I think this is as good as place as any. I think this is the place apparition mentioned to me because he said he couldn't make this stream. It was a good stopping point for us today. So yeah, we made it through a bit more of Higurashi. Now tomorrow, no stream tomorrow, but we will get back with Seabed on Thursday. Thank you all so much for joining me back again for some more Higurashi. And yeah, it looks like we are basically almost halfway through Tokihogushi, if you can believe that. You think Tokihogushi is your favorite, Waffle? Oh my god, Waffle! Thank you so much for joining us. I see your comments all the time. Welcome to the stream. I love reading your comments. Alright, so we have Seabed on Thursday and some more Higurashi on Friday. Yep, like 49% through Tokihogushi. I'm enjoying it very well. Very much as well, Waffle. I don't know if it's going to beat Somei Sushi for me, but it's definitely very good so far. Alright, let me just make my save right before they get to the dump here. And I wonder if they're going to find Rena's little hideout. So it's kind of weird to do this with no music, but until next time, I will say, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You are all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.